Welcome to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast, where every week, Kirsten and Jeanne dive into the essential topics to fuel your business growth, from copywriting to course creation, mindset to video marketing.
Hey everyone, welcome to our newest episode. We're excited to have you here. We're very excited to have Joseph Lombardi from Ironhawk Financial. He is an incredibly successful businessman and helps business owners build a solid foundation for their business. He has a really passionate story on why he does so. We're thrilled to have you today, Joe, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeanne.
And Joseph, I'm excited to hear about your story. I feel like most business owners have a story as to why they do what they do. And when I heard part of your story, I was like, oh my gosh. You think financial planning, I don't know if any little kid goes around thinking, I want to get into financial planning and helping businesses build a solid foundation. What really led you down this path?
Yeah, so I was supposed to be in construction. My dad owned JV Lombardi Builders out of Connecticut, and he was very successful, making millions and millions of dollars a year, working with very high net worth clients. Some of his clients were like the CEO of Coca-Cola, CEO of NFL in Greenwich, Connecticut. And I remember like one day when I was 12 years old, I was going down to check a job with my dad because only me and him. My mom left at 4 years old to, do drink and live her best life. So just me and my dad. He's like, go play with the sun. So I go down to an elevator to the basement. Elevator opens up and there's a baseball field in there. I was like, the amount of money in Greenwich is just insane. I had a really fun time. I get back in the car and I'm like, Dad, what does that guy do? He said he works on Wall Street. So when I was like 11 or 12, I was like, I want to work on Wall Street. Didn't really know what that meant. Fast forward 4 years, I'm doing construction with my dad. I was a demo guy, 13, 14, 15. And he's, again, doing a huge addition in Greenwich, and he ended up falling 3 stories off a ladder, bone in his foot disintegrated into 100 pieces. He was in the hospital for 23 months with reconstructive surgery and rehab. During that time, my ex-stepmom had a child, my sister, and she was born 2 pounds, 7 ounces, fetal alcohol syndrome. And I lettered varsity football, basketball, track in Fairfield, where I grew up. I had to drop out of all those things because I was 15. My sister was just about turning 2, and my dad's in the hospital and my ex-stepmom's in rehab. So it really affected me that my dad was worth at the time $25 million, and he had no disability. He had no life insurance. He had no long-term care. Fast forward 25 years, now he's in a nursing home broke with Parkinson's disease, my father, after I tried taking care of him. But I have 3 kids, I have a wife, I have a business, I have employees, so I couldn't dedicate my time to do that, knowing I have 3 other children and a wife that depends on me as well, so it put me in a really difficult situation. Fast forward about 3 years later, I get a phone call that my mom's sick. I didn't have a good relationship with her. She was very selfish and wanted to party, live in Boca Raton, Florida, and have one boyfriend buy her Mercedes, another boyfriend buy her a condo. It really affected me because within not even a month, she was dead. I was her only kin, so I had to clean up the mess, and it was very difficult. Fast forward another 2 years, my grandmother lost my uncle, her son, and her husband. She fell into a deep depression, which caused her to have a stroke. And when my grandfather died, all of his money went to my grandmother, $4.2 million. And when she had the stroke, she didn't have any long-term care. So she went to Ludlow Nursing Home in Fairfield, Connecticut, across from Sacred Heart University. And within 7.5 years, she lost $4.2 million of my grandfather's entire estate that took him 40-something years doing masonry work. So it really showed me that God is creating this path for me where I've seen horrific things happen in my life out of my control while my family was going through an immense emotional and physical and mental. On top of it, there was financial burden to be added to it. So I realized a lot of people don't do the planning. And if you fail to plan, your plan's to fail.
And that's crazy because they were all so successful. And I think sometimes what happens with business owners is they are just so busy trying to get the business off the ground that they don't ever stop to think, okay, well, now that it's doing well and I'm moving forward, how do I actually protect my money? How do I put things in place that will protect my family if these things happen? So for you, that's a lot of trauma to go through, as a young man. And so that really I'm sure it shaped more than just your career.
A lot of therapy. Have your own mom want to abort you before you're born and then not even want nothing to do with you at 4 years old. She'd rather do drugs and drink than be a mom. It was hard, but There's a saying that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. In order to build the muscle, you have to rip the muscle to have it regrow better. I look at it as my cocoon stage. Every caterpillar, in order to get to the next level, has to go through cocoon to fly. Sometimes pain, as it hurts, is not necessarily long-term bad, even though short-term it is.
Yeah, and it sounds like to me that both your grandfather and your dad were really hardworking and very successful. So you also got to see that growing up, how hard work, building your business with employees and how all of that could financially change your life. And then you had to watch it go away because of poor planning. How do you like to help business owners plan so that they're more secure if they get injured and their family's taken care of, if they need to go to a nursing home or they pass away? When you first meet with someone, what's the first conversation you have with them?
Number one is I try to help them alleviate taxes. When my grandfather's estate was being depleted, long-term care at that time was probably around $20,000 a month. But it was actually costing my grandmother about $34,000 a month because most of my grandfather's assets were real estate, IRAs, 401ks, SEPs, brokerage accounts. Every dollar that my grandmother needed almost cost her $2 because the government was taking half of it, because that puts you in a super high tax bracket when you have to net 250. So she was pulling 380, 420. What people don't understand is they see this net worth on paper, right? And they think, oh, I have $1 million in my 401k. I'm a millionaire. And it's like, no, you're not. Cash it out tomorrow. You're worth 540. You have a partner inside all your retirement accounts. And that partner is called Uncle Sam. If you lose all your money, he doesn't care. He doesn't lose anything. If you have a crazy great run in your retirement, he's taking half, and he brought in no value. So it's really important to know that to alleviate taxes, in my opinion, is number one, because that's going to take your estate and double it, right? Number two is you have to make sure that knowing there's 4 things that are guaranteed to happen to you. One is, and sometimes 3 happen. You're either going to live long and then die. That's the one we all want, assuming we can stay healthy. You can die early. You can get disabled. Well, you can't work anymore, but you're still alive. And you can need care when you're older. You come into this world in diapers and go out of this world in diapers. You want to be able to control where you are. You don't want to go to jail, also known as a nursing home. Jail and a nursing home comparison is very similar. 10 by 10 room, stranger, you have no say, you can't leave. The neighbor wants to blast a TV on the Mets game till 3 a.m. You're stuck. Nobody wants to visit you. It's a bad energy place. So, knowing that one of those has to happen, and most likely 2, and 30% chance 3 of those things are going to happen in your life. If you don't have a plan to combat that, what do you think is going to happen if you, God forbid, die early and you are the breadwinner? What's going to happen to your business? It's going to dissolve because you are the business. Most businesses aren't a business. It's a DBA as somebody's equity, right? So like me, I didn't have a business for 20 of my 22 years because I didn't have employees. I didn't have agents. I wasn't in all 50 states. I wasn't growing. I wasn't educating. I wasn't duplicating myself in the market. I wasn't building my brand. The painting company down the street isn't a company. It's a painter owning an LLC. If you don't have a plan in place to protect you, to diversify your taxes, to build wealth that's liquid, that doesn't have a 59.5-year rule or 10% penalty, that can't lose, that's been averaging 15% tax-free compounding over the last 20 years, documented. If you don't have something like that in place and you're just doing like a IRA, a 529 for your son, you got maybe a rental property, you're not doing yourself any justice because most of that profit and net worth doesn't belong to you.
So it sounds like when you sit down with people, you really look at what they have and help them make decisions to protect those assets and then guide them as to how to invest their money differently to ensure less taxes, higher return, and more security. Was that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important, right? When you think of a 401k or an IRA, a SEP simple pension, deferred comp, 457, 529, all these type of qualified government accounts, government's a monopoly. Government's not your friend. Government has no competition. Government's going to take half your stuff. They're going to penalize you, and they're in bed with Wall Street. By the way, I worked in Wall Street for years. It's just a really demonic place. So if you take a look at it, knowing that Wall Street's taking half your money with 12B1 fees, Class A share fund fee, money manager fee, annual account fee, mutual fund expense fee, and AUM fee. And then the government takes half your money when you pull it out in federal tax, state tax, FICA, Medicare, unemployment, and Social Security tax. You're really playing a game, you're getting a quarter of your money. The flip side is you do what all the super wealthy people do, right? Think of $1 trillion industry that the average American doesn't even know exists. Then who's funding it? It's all the top 0.1 percenters. So it's this strategy that's now becoming popular, even though I've been doing it for 22 years, the infinite banking, be your own bank, rich person's Roth. Forbes has 2 really good articles on it if you type in Forbes, rich person's Roth. When you talk about building a foundation, you need to have life insurance, disability, long-term care, retirement income, college savings, and a savings account. And this strategy covers all of those. The fees that you're paying are actually giving you something. They're giving you the ability where you can't lose. If the market goes down 10, 20, 50%, you don't lose anything. Those fees are covering your ability to have life, disability, long-term care, critical illness, critical ailment, terminal illness. Because as business owners, we're fearless, right? We're taking high risk for high reward. How many careers can I make 7 figures in? And I made that last year. So I had to take the risk and put the bet on myself, which is sleepless nights, 14-hour days, grinding, building, making great decisions, but most of the time failing and learning. When you go through that, you think I'm invincible. There's no way a drunk driver is going to hit me. There's no way I'm going to get diagnosis of XYZ. There's no way something's going to happen to my spouse or, God forbid, my children. I'm safe. I don't have to worry about that. I'll put all my time in my business like my father did and my grandfather did. Then when something happens out of your control, it derails everything. I'm not saying put 100% of your money in this strategy. What I'm saying is 5 or 10% of your money should go here. And then if you need the money, you can pull it back out. So it's not like you're handcuffing your money for decades, because what is the bloodline to a business? It's liquidity. And if you are handcuffing your money to your 59 and a half, or you're putting it all in real estate during a down market, banks aren't lending, so you can't access any of your capital if you need it. And you're not diversifying your taxation, your market exposure, or your liquidity, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket, what's going to happen when something happens out of your control and a big down market or correction comes? You're not going to be prepared. And that's why tens of thousands of businesses closed during COVID. And not bragging here, but my business exploded because Zoom was introduced. And now I'm national by sitting in my pajama pants and a suit top. I'm closing $1 million deals every day. A lot of businesses weren't as fortunate because they didn't have a plan. It's not just what if I get hurt? What if I get sick? What if I get injured? It's what if the market turns? What if there's a government law that changes my industry, which forces me out? Do I have a plan B? Do I have a nest egg? Do I have a lump sum? And 99% of people don't.
Wow. And I think you probably spoke to most business owners when you were talking about the fact that, first of all, congratulations on 7 figures last year. That's amazing. You spoke to those 14-hour days, working hard, making good choices, making lots of bad choices, and learning from them. I feel like that is the mantra of most business owners, right? You get knocked down, you pick yourself up, learn something, and you move on. One of the things we believe in is reaching out to experts, right? So having someone on your team and in your corner like you who can help with the things that, a lot of times we don't want to learn about, IRAs and 401ks or the stock market. We want to do what we love doing, what we're passionate about, what we're good at. So I think it's so important for business owners to have someone like you in their corner to help them understand what they can do with their money and how to do that, and to kind of coach them. Do you meet with your clients a couple of times a year? How do you do that when you're working with someone?
So I have A, B, and C clients. My A clients, we do a lot of business together. Maybe I have a relationship with their estate attorney, a relationship with their accountant, and we do real deep financial planning. We're talking super complex planning. Those people I meet with almost every quarter, maybe every 6 months. Then I have B clients. B clients are business owners that maybe need 3 or 4 things. They have no real retirement account. They have no real estate plan. They don't know about business continuation. They don't have any tax strategies in place. So we set up a few different strategies. I roll over their existing IRAs or 401ks and accounts that they can't lose, averaging almost double digits historically. Most of my clients, or almost technically all of my clients, have access to my Calendly, which they can just book a meeting whenever they want. And then a lot of my clients have access to my personal cell phone, so they can text me. I'm sitting in my chair for 12 hours a day, meeting 12 different clients a day. So it's being accessible, being quick. I almost get anxiety when a business thing comes through and I can't get to it. I'm like, I got to get to this. When I can't go to sleep. They say that if you're married, don't go to sleep mad. I don't go to sleep without answering my clients. So I'll be up sometimes till 11, 12 o'clock, sending illustrations, answering questions. Hey, I'm exhausted. I'll get to this tomorrow at 8 a.m. But it's so vital, the communication. So I meet them as much as they need. The good news for me, having thousands of clients, is that most of my strategies, you can't lose. They're guaranteed. They have some sort of historical growth that is easily, looked at. My clients have 24/7 access to their accounts. So the only time they reach out is like a change of beneficiary, a change of owner. Maybe they want to buy more for a child that's now older. Maybe daycare just got due. They freed up $2,000 a month. They want to do something with those dollars. So it really just has to do most of the time, which is, I guess, good for me, is clients call, say, hey, things are going good. I have more money. What should I do? And then we come up with a strategy.
Are your C clients maybe smaller businesses that are really just at the point where they can finally think about having a conversation, and maybe they don't have a lot of money, so you're really helping them understand the foundation that they need to build as they grow?
I turn away probably about 30% of people that want to invest with me or have a plan or get some sort of permanent long-term insurance strategy. If you have credit cards at 29.99 and you have $50,000, I can't guarantee you 29.99 tax-free on your money. So I advise those clients to pay off debt, get a budget, make a plan. And the ones that are unwilling to, they're never going to be my clients. The ones that have very poor ethics and morals when it comes to money, they'll be trapped in that consumerism loop forever. And if I try to help them, all they're going to do is lapse or cancel all the different plans we set up, and they're going to end up losing money. So I make sure that when I meet with a client, I don't want to meet just for commission or for a fee. I want to meet to make sure that what I'm offering is something I would offer to my own family. I would not invest in my retirement if I'm full of debt, because debt is cancer to your long-term financial health. And a lot of people, what they do is, they say, oh, OPM, other people's money. Absolutely. I have few $1 million out on OPM, but they're all under 5%. You don't do OPM through credit cards. You don't do OPM through high interest debt or 17% through Lending Club or Lending Tree. That's not a long-term, or these day loans. I met a few business owners that are doing day loans, and I'm like, are you nuts? Well, yeah, my business is 1.8 million. I'm like, are you that poor with money that you can't figure out how to float 10 grand? Unfortunately, it takes a lot to actually work with somebody like me, because when you think of like the lottery, these guys hit the lottery for $100 million, and not only are they broke 2 years later, they're bankrupt. So they lost 100 million plus another 5 million. So it really comes down to appreciating the dollar, having a plan for the dollar, knowing that it's a gift from God, and I try to make sure I handle it correctly. If you understand, it's so important to know that if you don't have a plan in place, things will not go 100% your way in life. I'm not God, I'm not perfect, and I don't think any of your listeners are. So you have to make sure that you have some foundation set aside, and most people don't.
Yeah, we would say
We're not-
people need to be coachable, because if they're not going to listen to you and not going to understand the value, then they're not going to do the work, and it's not going to turn out the way they want it to. I love the budgeting part. I think that's really important, because once you get yourself straight and get rid of your debt, if you can spend less than you earn, which I know sounds just fundamental and silly, but it's really, for some people, it's really hard. When they make some more money, they're spending. And that's when they get in real trouble.
Everybody wants to upgrade to keep up with the Joneses until they realize the Joneses don't care about you. Who cares about
Right.
you is your family, your children, your friends. And unfortunately, to be real, a lot of people don't care about themselves. A lot of people have self-hatred, childhood trauma. They have these holes in them that they try and fill with money and stuff, gambling, drugs, alcohol. It goes deep, which it doesn't seem like it should, right? Like, we're talking about money. What are you talking about? But you have to understand it's a mindset to say, because we have a past self, a future self, and a present self. And what people want to do is they want to stay in their present self for instant gratification, or they go to their past self, which if you live in the past, it's depression. And if you live in the future, it's anxiety, right? Because you're scared for what's coming next, or you're sad for what happened in the past. So You have to understand, you want to live in the present, but you also want to build, you want to be the one to protect your future self and be your savior of your future self, because nobody else can but you. And if you don't do it, who will?
I'm loving this. First of all, you know, your honesty and your ethics that you bring to people, I think is amazing. And the fact that you do talk about the emotional side of how we deal with money and why we deal with it. Sometimes I think you have the emotional mindset people, and then you have like your financial planners and your financial gurus over here. It sounds like, again, probably because of the trauma you went through as a child, that you get both sides of that. And I'm guessing that you didn't make $7 million last year without working through a lot of those things.
Yeah, if I told you for years after my mom died, not having a relationship with her, I was depressed, I was anxious, on the medication, I wasn't myself, affected my relationship with my spouse, I wasn't fully present for my children, I'd be lying. I had to go through a lot of stuff in order to realize that it's okay. I'm not that 7-year-old boy who misses his mommy anymore. I'm now a 40-year-old man. I was a 30-year-old man when I was curing it, but it takes a lot because we carry all this baggages around. And unfortunately, your financial life is a collateral damage to it. So you have to fix a lot of the things wrong in your life and not think money is the only thing that's going to fix it, because unfortunately it's not. I'm on all the DraftKings commercials nationwide because I was their number one sucker in 2022, where I gambled $13 million in a year. So we all have these things that we try to run from instead of turning around, facing it, and saying, I need to fix whatever this issue is, not distract myself or bury myself in the sand, which only hurts you and the people you love long-term, especially financially.
Joe, this has been awesome. How can people who are debt-free and are really ready to build a foundation reach out to you and connect with you?
So you can go to my website, www.ironhawkfinancial.com. There's a contact us button. You can fill out your name, email, and phone number. Most likely myself or somebody on my team will reach out to you to set up a consultation. If you aren't ready to meet with somebody yet, I'm willing to offer all your listeners all of my books, all 3 of them, absolutely free of charge. I will send them via email.
Wow.
As well as all the articles I'm in, the Forbes articles on my strategy, my YouTube video, everything for free. Just write an email to Joe, Joe, at ironhawkfinancial.com, and just put free books. You won't be put on any type of email list. My Calendly link is on all of my email signatures. If you want to meet at some point, you just save the email and then you can reach out to me. I want to work with people that want to work with me. I don't chase anybody. If people aren't ready, you can't force them to be ready. So it's just important to make sure that when you're ready, you have access to somebody like me that's going to do the right thing, not be fee hungry or commission hungry. That was how I was able to keep my 5-star rating on Google and my A+ rating on the Better Business Bureau for the last 20 years. Wow.
That is so generous that you're offering all of your books. I'm definitely going to sign up for them because I feel like I've already learned so much from you today. And it's funny, I have a gentleman, have been coaching him for a while now, and his son has joined the business and he's 24. And so now I'm coaching him, and a lot of what we've been talking about are finances. So I'm definitely going to get him to sign up for your books as well, because I think that would be amazing, great timing for him to start learning more about money. I think you have some really awesome concepts and things to say. So thank you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, Kirsten, for giving me the opportunity to talk to your audience. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks for listening to the 6-Figure Business Mastery Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this episode and you are ready to leverage video marketing on all online platforms, or maybe even start your own video podcast, then you need to check out the Done For You and Done With You program at themarketingvaadvantage.com and take your business to the next level.